We had 18 months to develop a car.
Hello everyone and welcome to my educational platform. This week it's my pleasure to be welcoming Dhanasekhar Damodaram. Dhana is currently the Global Head of GTSM Corporate and Investment Banking and Managing Director at the Corporate and Investment Banking sector at Barclays. He specializes in risk, finance, treasury, functions, and data. Dhana has quite extensive industry experience and has led and delivered strategic and transformational change as a CIO, as a CTO, and as a senior technology leader for over 3 decades. Prior to joining Barclays Corporate and Investment Banking Division, Dhana was the General Manager in Service Management and Asia CIO for the Westpac Group. He also served as the Managing Director and Global Consumer Banking EMEA and APAC CTO at Citibank. He was an IBM Director for 15 years, and he was also a Senior Engineer at Hewlett-Packard. Dhana has played key roles in very prominent transformation programs, such as the business case for multi-geo core banking migration and next-gen digital banking. This interview dives into his journey from exiting university and entering his very first industry role back in 1992, to carving his path towards leading 1,000 plus member global multifunctional teams and leading key transformation programs. The interview covers the core skills required, technical challenges faced, and character qualities necessary to establish a strong leadership foundation within the finance industry, and also describes how Dhana manages to effectively lead global teams into achieving program success. The ultimate goal is to lay out a foundation, a guide map if you want, for young industry aspiring leaders, and teach them via Dhana's experience how to adopt a competitive, resilient, problem-solving, and winning effectively mindset. Thank you, Dhana, for taking the time out of your day to reflect upon your journey and educate the young generation of aspiring leaders in the industry.
From there on, actually, was like 4.5 years of fun, actually, right? So I was the topper. In those days, I used to do sales and service. I was a topper in sales. I was topper in service. Any complex programs internally, my colleagues will call me. Customers will trust me. So suddenly you realize, yes, you got what you know as a technology. At one point, even some of the customers used to tell me, we don't trust the guys who are born in the same place, but we trust you more because there's something that you do day in, day out, helps us to trust you more than anybody that we know from the same place, who have been grown up and who know the language, etc. Everything was like IBM, right? A lot of credit goes to IBM, the way I was shaped actually as an international or global leader. So much opportunity, so much exposure actually that was given by IBM.
So I want to thank you, first of all, for agreeing to do this. For a student like me, for a graduate like me, it means a lot. And I think it will mean a lot for the students who will see this interview. I was very interested in your career. You've been in the industry, in cross-functional industries, for over 3 decades, correct?
That's right.
And the first role I saw on your LinkedIn was the senior engineer in the Hewlett-Packard. I don't know if there was something before that. I tried to find something on the web. I wasn't able to. I assume you had a role before that, right?
No, I think that's officially the first job. Before that, probably would have been more like industry attachments.
Mm-hmm.
When you do your degree, you probably go for internship, industry attachment programs, like that kind of stuff.
Can you talk to me about your very, very first role? How you started honing your skills, how you started developing inclinations towards specific fields, basically, and gaining experience. How did it feel to get in the industry for the first time?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Maybe before I jump into that, how did he land in my profile?
So what I did is I typed on the LinkedIn IBM director. Your profile showed up. I went through it's a little bit of investigation. It's not in the context of finding an individual, blindly approaching them. So I went through your entire profile. I saw you are very keen into promoting your role, what you're doing, helping other people, spreading awareness about your industry. And I thought, here is an individual with so much experience who wants to help others. Let me try to send a message, see if they are willing to help me and my very small community as well. I didn't expect an answer, to be honest. And here we are. So it's very simple, but I am trying to find people who I can see are willing to help others.
Interesting.
But I understand your experience, though. I understand your limited time.
No problem. I think I'm happy to help. That's what I do, and that's the reason I use LinkedIn extensively to reach out to all the old contacts as well as anybody in the industry who needs my help, right? So just one other curious thing, why IBM director in your search?
It's because of personal preference to begin with. I understand the intricacies of IT-based organizations. I understand the intricacies of finance-based organizations. I myself am a composite impact engineer. So when I saw your profile, I saw that, as I said, you worked in cross-functional industries, different industries. And I always wonder, why do people do that? Why do they stay in an IT-based organization for like 15 years, as you stayed? And then you thought, well, there was an opportunity to move into a finance-based role. How do you transfer that skill set? Something else that drew my interest was you increasingly started to undertake responsibility to lead larger and larger teams. What I've seen from other seasoned professionals is as their career moves, it tapers off to the point where they don't want to lead global teams. Plus you were leading teams from very diverse places of the world. So I thought, how do you manage that exactly? and as your career moves, why do you want more and more responsibility? Does it get to a point where it's like too much for you? All these small questions that led me to send a message. Yes.
Very good. I think it really helps in terms of how you landed me and why you picked me and your thought process around that. Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that.
No worries.
It
wasn't by chance.
Yeah. I mean, just to get the feel of it, right? So that I can help you in the way I can actually. Great. I think your question was about the first job and specifically, what are things you would like to know actually on the first job?
I want to understand how you felt going into the industry for the first time. What was your vision from your first role? Mistakes you did? How are you taking responsibility of your tasks? And did you want to become a leader from the get-go? Basically, small questions as a young professional.
Yeah. Superb. I think I speak my mind actually because you're taking me back almost like what 1992, so 31 years now.
31 years.
So I'm just trying to imagine myself how I was, what was I thinking, so so that I can give you honest answers there. I think landing in HP, I would say, was one of the turning point because you get campus interviews, multiple brands will come and interview you, but landing in a global brand like HP and getting that exposure made some big difference actually, right? So that's one concept, keep it there actually. We are talking about 90s, right? It's not like an internet age or it's not like, Google there and anything you want to know, just run one search and then immediately get the answer. No, we were not living in that age. And I stepped out of my native place and went and worked in a completely different place. Language was different, place was different, and trying to figure out humans, relationship, language, location, even food is different. Everything is different, actually, right? So, in a way, probably those are the challenges that, early part of your career, what you go through, and the learnings kind of opens up to broader challenges, down the line. Though I was homesick, literally, I was not getting the food I was eating for the previous 20 odd years. Completely different language. You go in front of clients speak a different language. You hardly have any clue. You have a rough, vague idea of what they're saying, but they tend to not speak English. You try to speak back in English, and even though they know, they may not answer, right? So it's somewhat similar to what people say about French, right? So the preference will be to speak in French, and unless it is so critical that you need an answer, they maybe give you a simple English answer, even though they know English very well. So it's somewhat similar, actually. Landed in a place pretty much Hindi was the main language. So more than the work, learning people, going through a extremely difficult situation, and to get the buy-in from your new team, new people, new customer, new manager, all in early 20s, right? So you are like pretty much new to the world, actually, right? So and when you step out of the house and you're seeing the world for the first time. But I think what kept me going, I would say, the drive, right? So the commitment to say, okay, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to make a difference. I want to learn. I want to, all this hard work and the tough, period you go through. The toughness only makes you stronger, as long as you know what's your goal. So it's a simple thing that kept me going was, okay, I wanted this. I landed in the place. I want to learn. I want to learn. I want to get better. I want to get better. I want to learn. I want to get better. Probably that's the only thing that was kept me going, actually, right? So, very interesting period, actually. So the first year in that job was the most difficult, and then I got into a sweet spot, and I could dominate quickly because you got through a extremely painful place. You landed well. You're in your mindset is so positive. From there on, actually, was like 4.5 years of fun, actually, right? So I was the topper. Those days, I used to do sales and service. I was a topper in sales. I was topper in service. Any complex programs internally, my colleagues will call me. Customers will trust me. So suddenly you realize, yes, you got to what you know as a technologist, but is a part about people that defines you in any industry. Doesn't matter whether it's technology or non-technology. What ultimately defines the success is how you can get along with people, how you can get the trust and buy-in. So probably that first 5 years, if I had to sum up, I would say learning people and how to win the trust, despite you being completely a person who is not even from the same place, same origin. There is no reason for anybody to trust you. At one point, even some of the customers used to tell me, we don't trust this guys who are born in the same place, but we trust you more because there's something that you do day in, day out, helps us to trust you more than anybody that we know from the same place, who have been grown up and who know the language, etc. So I think hopefully kind of sums up how that first 5 years went out. I can stop there and see whether there's any trigger questions or follow-up questions you have. I can explain a bit more.
I have a very distinct observation. So there's a lot of people, especially when you start becoming a seasoned professional, and they start talking about trust and how important trust is within teams, especially nowadays. But back in 1992, you coming from a way different background, for some reason, maybe it was my mistake. I was expecting you to start talking to me technically, so I started becoming very good technically into this role. And it's incredible to see that at such an early age. I mean, I didn't develop the the definition of being trustworthy within a team up until I'm 26 now. Now I started developing this element of, well, I need people to trust me. I need people to be able to trust, to be able to lean upon me within my role. A lot of young bucks, to say, they go into the industry and we want to prove ourselves technically. We want to undertake the biggest projects, the most difficult projects, to prove to our senior leaders that we are worthy of performing, basically. But as far as trust, so you started developing this element of bonded teams early on, which I think followed you for the rest of your career up until today, right?
Yes, that's very true. Yeah, I mean, you're bringing so many memories, actually, so many thoughts rushing into my head. Actually, I have to figure out, filter, and give you the ones that matters for you. I think the people aspect helped me to learn the technology much faster, because you form friendship, lifetime friendship. You learn from a person who has been in the same industry for 15 years. If they treat you as a friend, they're going to give you all the information much faster as compared to you ask, I tell, versus, hey, here is what you need to know, right? I think I was fortunate enough to make those friendships very early. And some of those people I worked with, they are really, really good humans, actually, right? So the speed at which we could learn things, and it's like, positive adds positive. It's like a snowball effect, right? So you kind of tend to attract positivity. So okay, fine, they taught you something for a situation, and the situation happens, you are helping them, a senior person. Hey, I can't go to this client, can you please handle this? But the client is really difficult, I don't feel like going, will you be able to handle it? Okay, here are the things you need to know, right? So you're learning, at the same time you're taking somebody else's burden. It's difficult, actually, especially some highly demanding customers. They will say, you can go and act as if you don't know anything, or if you really want to know do a few things for the customer, do these 3 things. So I took that as a challenge, right? So I'm helping my own seniors, I'm helping the customer, and in that process, if I start solving this, instead of they always go to the same person, demanding for the same person, a senior most guy has to come. Here is a junior guy who's able to do the same thing what the senior most guy used to do, and you are building that relationship, right? So it's a win-win for everybody. Otherwise, what happens is every customer would like to only speak to that senior most person in that team, actually, right? Here I am slowly, the first 6 months, taking some of their burden away. Some of the most difficult customers say, okay, oh, this guy is not there. Okay, send me guy B, right? Dhana, send it to me. Dhana was here last time. He knows what we have. Send it to me. Third time, fourth time, I say, okay, forget that guy. You are like twice faster and you are able to reach you. So I'm not running away from anybody because I'm building my customer base, become easy for me to do some of those stuff, right? Like I said, actually, some of the senior most people who are managing that region for 20, 30 years, we ended up fighting, and it's the same product we are selling, but we ended up fighting on different turf, right? So, and people, even they are good friends now, they used to challenge me. You come to this place, I've been managing this customer for 25 years. You think that you can win this deal? I say, no, I'm doing my job. I'm going to give my best. I'm not fighting anybody here, right? I used to say, well, I used to just stick to the fact why I'm here. I'm not getting into any fight. So, and incidentally, they started losing, actually, right? So I started winning. It could be, I mean, it could be, it's a chance. It could be the hard work. It could be the trust. You keep on building, keep doing the right thing, keep doing the right thing. Sales is all about, first, do they trust you? Are you giving the right product? Are you giving at the right price? And there are certain challenges that the client will have if you can understand by talking to them. It could be financial. They want a different financial arrangement. It could be delivery, it could be technology. They don't know whether this technology is better than this technology. If you can answer all this question, and if you can commit that, okay, you're going to be there for lifelong to see through, make sure this project is not like, I collect the check and I disappear. I collect the money and I disappear, but it's a lifelong journey and relationship. It makes a huge difference. So these are relationships like even after 30 years, some of them remember me and say, oh, those are golden days, actually, right? Dana, when you are there, actually, you know what, we never bothered about anything. We just give it to you and we forget about everything. That's not the case today. It's so complex, right? So that's how it, it's a snowball effect, actually, right? You keep doing the right thing again and again and again and again. There's only one way the world can react to you.
And which was the right strategy, the right exit role, I'd say, strategy for you? So you were in
Yeah.
Hewlett-Packard for 5 years until 1997. At some point, you decided, well, I want to move on with my career. And for you, the move on was to go into IBM. How smooth
Yeah.
was that transition, though?
Two things I did, actually, right? So one, I said HP is number two. I'm going to go to number one, IBM. So that was my first team. Second, I chose to switch country. I said I'm going to Singapore. And again, start from all over, right? No family, completely different culture, different food, different way of doing things, and learn again, right? So, but I was very clear, I only want to work for IBM. I landed here. I got lucky with IBM. Was this IBM said it's a contract job. Is it okay? I said I have full confidence in me, so it'll get converted in no time, actually, right? So, oh, you seem to be more confident, actually. So so it was funny, actually, because I was doing extremely well with HP. Here I am going for a contract job with IBM, and I'm saying, telling the hiring manager, I'm extremely confident. Probably 6 months time, you're going to convert me, actually, right? So, he said, okay, fine, let's see. Right? So he gave me a 1-year contract job, I think, with the option to extend for 2 more years. I think month 7, he called me and said, yeah, you're right, actually. So we are converting you starting from this month as a IBMer, right? So I joined in July 97. I got converted in Feb 1st or 2nd, actually, right? So roughly 6 months. I mean, again, same thing, actually. So to the extent the hiring manager even said, actually, you sound more like a salesperson than a technology person, but I just want to make sure I'm getting because I'm not hiring for sales, but I'm hiring for technology, especially service. And then the things that we did in the 6 months, actually, they changed the mind. Actually, yeah, I think it's a fine balance. You can't be a technologist without any people touch. You bring the best of both worlds, and you calm people, especially in a complex situation. You need to know how to manage customers and give them solutions. What is practical? What is feasible? Right? You should not get stressed out and lose touch with customer. Bring the technology with the right, combination of relationship and people aspect. End of the day, it's not the technology alone or the machine alone you're going to talk to. You're talking to people, right? How you're managing them. I think that helped really, because most of the customers I dealt with, actually, I was honest. Um, Sometimes, actually, in HP days, actually, people used to tell me, "You're so honest that you're putting me in trouble." My senior people used to say. I would say, actually, if there is no spare, I'll say no spare. If there is the delivery is not possible, the senior guy said, "Okay, it'll be done in 2 weeks." I'll say no, it's minimum 4 weeks. I'm very clear, actually, and Dhana, you have to lie a little bit. If you don't want to lie, it's also fine, but at least don't state the fact as fact. But I think if I reflect back, actually, between the two, I always stick to core principles of, I'm here for the customer, and I'm going to be honest about the aspects of the things that the customers paying us are expecting us to deliver as much as possible. So maybe over a period of time, I polish my words in terms of telling fact as fact, calling a spade as a spade, but pretty much that's what customer expect. I want honesty. If you can't do something, tell me clearly by when you can do and what exactly you need from me in order for you to be successful. So that's the conversations kept me going most of the time. I learned technology quite a lot, because HP technology is very different. I used to manage what HP used to call as CAD workstations and superdomes, etc. And then completely come to this side. I started managing IBM services, but it started expanding into going into, industry-based services. I didn't focus too much on industry in IBM, in HP days, though I was kind of, when you reflect back, most of the time I was managing banking. Those days, what we used to call as branch banking, right? So a bank sets up a branch, you automate the branch. There'll be a software company will come and do the software portion of it, but you do all the other aspects to support them: network, server, storage, and the front end. Those days we used to call Ethernet LAN. I don't know whether you're still familiar with those terms.
Yeah.
There'll be a black cable that'll be running in every desk terminal. So you do RJ45, whatever the connects. So then you plug it into the system. It's like a turnkey kind of connector, RJ15, I think. Yeah, whatever the names actually. So it's completely different. You'll go sit there, cut the cables, solder it, put the thing, and connect to all these systems. Literally, very you may not even know this software called Novel Network. Majority of the stuff used to run on Novel Network, Foxbase and DBase. Oracle all came later, actually, Foxbase and DBase, and literally there is a server, and a server Fox Plus version will run, and then the clients will speak to the server. Each branch will have a server. So pretty much you will learn the technology aspect and you'll keep growing. But I think I started focusing when I came into IBM more on enterprise solutions, mainframe, mid-range, Oracle, network, firewall. And IBM encourages, it's an ocean actually, right? Encourages you, gives you funding for everything to learn actually, right? I think I have 3 or 4 folders of certificates actually, right? So you name a topic, I would have done a certification with IBM, right? Whether it's leadership, whether it's people aspect, whether it's technology, whether it's firewall, whether it is server, storage, you name it actually. There'll be something or other actually done. I learned Sybase, I got certified by Sybase. I learned Oracle, certified in Oracle, project management. I went into George Washington University, master certificate in project management. Everything was like IBM, right? A lot of credit goes to IBM, the way I was shaped actually as an international global leader. So much opportunity, so much exposure actually that was given by IBM. So I had a simple theory actually, right? So if the company is investing $1, I'll give $4 back actually, right? So as long as I'm an asset to the organization, I will stay there. When I become a liability or I'm not adding any more value, the same way I used to do 1:4, then I move on to wherever I can actually, right? So that's pretty much what I followed in HP and IBM for throughout the first 20 years. I'll pause there, see whether any questions on IBM before we go to the next one.
My first question is a technical question, and then I will go to the aspect you just mentioned about becoming a liability. So you spent around a decade involving yourself in transition, integration, delivery, plus transition and acquisition services. I want you to explain to me in its fundamental core, what makes such a strategy successful in your mind? To the depth you can explain it, of course.
Yeah, that's where I spend most of my energy in IBM. That made me very successful because it kind of was a perfect match, right? So for me, most of the clients, they don't want to spend their energy in non-core functions, right? Let's say if you're a bank, banking is your core function, technology, somebody can take and manage, I'll give it to that person. Let's say if you're a manufacturing company, your core services is manufacturing, you don't want to spend your energy on running servers, storage, application, infrastructure, database, data center, network, etc., etc. So they rather bring somebody who's an expert in that space and then give it to them to manage the core infrastructure or technology aspect. That's the essence of it. But you got to do this not like arm's length. I don't know what customer is doing, but I'm a strategic partner to the customer. So that's why if you see most of my early days, it'll say strategic outsourcing. So you're outsourcing something core to you, but it is strategic in nature. What it means is specifically you're not just another partner. I ask you to buy a server and give it to me. No, you're a core strategic partner, because without technology, business cannot run. In 90s also the same, in 2000 also the same, in today it's even more. Every business is a digital business, because without digital footprint, nobody exists, right? So digital technology becomes the core, but that core technology, you have a choice of, you want to hire 20 people like Dhana or George and run it, or you want to give it to a company like IBM, whose their core strength is having hundreds of Georges and hundreds of Dhana. So that's the concept, actually, right? So, attrition used to be through the roof those days, right? It's no different until last year, a year before. You talk about great resignations, etc. It was same actually in late 90s. You train a person in SAP, 6 months later they would have gone, right? You would have spent like $100,000 bringing him to the advanced level of certification. The guy will serve, the committed 1-year contract period or 2-year contract period, and he'll leave to US, and he will leave to like 3 times bigger salary actually, right? So it was a period like in a golden period, I would say. Pretty much anybody who knows anything about technology, you can keep moving actually, right? So that was a scenario. It's not much difference at this point. Actually, you will still see people changing job every 2 years, 1 year, sometimes even 6 months. By those days was like literally people will jump. The other company will be standing in front of your company. If somebody comes, it doesn't matter whether they get high performer, low performer, medium performer. No, just as long as you're willing to change job, you can, because everybody was hiring in masses actually those days, right? 100,000, 200,000 people literally. So I think that is the part actually which really helped me, because I'm sitting in front of clients telling them, I think we are better at hiring these people and training these people. We are better at managing this risk for you, attrition, replacement, skill set, training. That's our core business, right? We hire people, we train people. So how many of this technology you're going to train? Network, storage, server, database, application, infrastructure, data center. What do you want to spend your energy on? We'll keep hiring and training people, and you'll be, because people are getting frustrated actually in the industry at that point in time. They said, okay, fine, take this headache out of me. You run it. You decide actually, right? You tell me what's the cost. As long as it's reasonable, you manage it within this budget, we are fine actually, right? So that's what helped us actually to spread this really fast, really quick. So I was managing at one point, obviously I had a big team, 194 clients in Asia Pac, right? So I used to manage all the way from Australia, New Zealand to India, 12 countries, whether it's customers in China, customers in Hong Kong, customers in Korea, Japan, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, India, literally the entire region actually, right? So very good experience actually, because any deal, large deal, I'll be in front of the client explaining to them the value proposition and what we bring as a team, and I'm the face from there on actually, right? From the time I do the transfer of client stuff into my team, all the way to running that contract for the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever the time period they signed.
It is incredible to see that you were invested in your role. I mean, it is natural that you will be thriving and trying to establish a strategy that will help the company to gain more a larger customer base, plus to serve your customers. Okay, this is natural, but it's incredible to start seeing your vision about expanding and assisting your teams in a very, very organic way. And I think this is what makes you, at least in my eyes, a great leader. And so you were in an IT-based industry for the best part of 15 years. You stayed in IBM for 15 years. When did the thought develop to move into a finance-based space? I mean, I understand now the strategy in your mind must have been a little bit different than HP because you have way more experience. So how did that transition happen to Citi?
Yeah, I think before I answer that question to your previous comment,
Yeah.
The thing that really clicked for me and my team was I'm always there for them, right? And doesn't matter how complex the customer situation, how complex the contract is, I'm always there for them. And I would have been there the very first time itself, so I know most of the design of the contract, design of the solution. So I'll be there throughout, actually, which kind of helped them, right? When you know somebody senior has your backing, you can fight any battle, which is what kept my, even today, actually, some of them worked in 2000, which is 23 years back. They always fondly remember those days because they are willing to fight, but they don't know who has that backing. So when they know that I'm there, and I will always roll up my sleeve and I'll be standing for them, right? So it becomes easy to do things, get things done, deliver things for our clients. So probably just I thought I was reflecting on what you said there, actually. So that's probably worth recalling. And then back to your question about after spending almost 20 years, 5 in HP and 15 in IBM, 20 years. So as a point in time reflection, and then said, okay, fine, I spent 20 years as a milestone. What do I want to do with my next 20 years? Right? That was this is how I generally work, actually. So the day end, I'll reflect on the day. Weekend, I'll reflect on the week. Month end, I'll reflect on the month. And it's like, December, actually, this is the time period I'll start thinking about how did the year go, what changes I can make for next year, right? So reflection is very important. So during one of those reflection, as a milestone reflection this time around, 20 years, you learned a lot, you've done quite a lot, HP, IBM, and industry is slowly changing. They were like taking back the outsourcing because technology becoming extremely core. Most customer wanted strategic infrastructure or strategic technology back into in-house. So it's slowly the trend changing. And I said, okay, fine. If all this industry trend, if I had to pick one area, one industry, what will that be? And it's maybe probably worth going into that industry because in the first 20 years, technology is supporting multiple industry. And then you switch that and say, I bring all this technology knowledge, and then I'm going in supporting an industry I like most. So when I reflected back the first 20 years, HP time, like I said, branch banking, quite a lot of banking. Strategic outsourcing, some of the biggest I did ended up in banking industry. Telco and banking are the two big industry I supported quite a lot. So there was a debate about telco or banking, and this obvious thing, actually, it could be my name. My name, Dhana, means money. So it's kind of, it keeps repeating in your life, right? So you're coming very close to all the time financial industry, financial industry, financial industry. I say, okay, DBS was one example. Westpac was another example. So I said, okay. And when you are reflecting on this, those days, IBM was celebrating 100th anniversary. So every day there'll be ads in the paper celebrating 100th. And Citi was celebrating 200th anniversary. I was like, wow, okay, what is this? Actually, you see every time in the newspaper, 100, 200, 100, 200. Maybe some message for me, actually, right? So who do I know in Citi? Okay, I know this guy. Maybe I'll just give him a call and see, right? So that's how that whole transition started. One of my old boss, Tim Bosky, was working for Citi at that time. He was in Stanchart. I thought he's in Stanchart, but then I realized has moved into Citi. And then a casual coffee and said, oh, hey, Dhana, you're thinking of it? Actually, we thought your blood has turned blue. You'll never come out of IBM. Oh, you should meet this interesting guy. So the boss who hired me, who's still with Barclays now, in between, we also traveled throughout Citi 8 years together, and then Westpac, and now in Barclays. One of the best executive I worked for, Craig Bright. So it is one of the best brains in the industry, right? So it was a good conversation, just 40 minutes. Actually, it was not an interview. It was like, he's telling, here is the challenge I'm handling. I know a lot about you. because many other people they used to work for me used to be his proteges. So I was managing an Australian company. He comes from the same place. Too many common connections. He said, "Okay, I know a lot about what you bring to the table. There is a challenge that I'm handling, and it's a global challenge. Will you be interested to partner with this?" I was like, "Wow, this is not an interview. Tell me what you did. Do you know this technology?" No, he say, "I know a lot about you, sir, but here is what I am handling as a challenge." And he has got a lot of this growth. The first meeting, he hasn't even hired me. And he's saying, "Okay, you'll come in year one, you will do this. Year two, I think you can take on this additional responsibility. Year three, you'll do this." He gave me a 5-year roadmap, all in 45 minutes conversation, right? So I said, "Yeah, is it a dream or what, actually? So let's give it a try," right? So how bad it can be, actually, right? So because IBM is very, very focused on professional development, but I never met a person who told me that, "Okay, Nana, your strength is this, and you're going to do this in 1990, you're going to do this in 1991, you're going to do this in 1992, 1993, 5 years, this is your roadmap. Then let's talk about the next 5 years." He was like 45 minutes first time meeting, and he's telling me, "Yeah, these are the challenges, these are the values you can add, and you can do this, you can do this, you can do this in year 3, year 4, year 5. I was like, wow, okay. And true to his words, I think rest was history. Actually, we could really change quite a lot, because he was looking for somebody who brings the service culture into the organization in the financial industry. That the core technology, how you run, cost focus, how you run the skill set build, talent build, all those stuff. Because I was running 174, 175 clients, actually, I was talking about, right? So I had a clear methodology around certifications, building skill set, architecture pool, project management pool, service management pool, all those aspects, actually, right? So that kind of so said, actually, this is exactly what I need. I need a person who will come bring that service culture into the organization, and then slowly we change the model and operating model and the structure, and the rest is history. We did a fantastic 7.5 years in Citi, and then took the same model to Westpac and different country. 2 years in Australia, now 2 years in UK bank, right, in Barclays. So it's pretty much, you bring that cultural change, plus, the technological aspect, deep technology skill set, skill base, at the same time, the people aspect, and then you build the ongoing continuous improvement culture and driving the change.
The first observation I have, Dana, is you mentioned that you were able to see a shift. So people needed more strategy-based assistance. Was that regional, or was that a global effect when you saw that shift?
There are areas where I took ownership for international, because the way Citi used to run, anything outside of US is called international. So that includes Asia, Europe, Middle East, LATAM, Mexico, right? So we used to call this is the international, right? Anything outside of US. So in that space, you kind of have a completely, different cultures. Asia alone is like 12 different countries, 12 different culture, right? So you got to bring them all under one model and structure. So yeah, I would say you're running two different organizations here, right? One is US based organization, one is the international organization. But the international organization is not the same. Mexico is very different from LATAM. LATAM is very different from Europe. Europe is very different from Middle East, and then Asia. And Asia and Pacific also is slightly, Japan is very different from rest of the Asia. So it's a interesting journey. So you got to be mindful of what needs to be done for each country. At the same time, you got to be mindful of what are the common elements you're keeping it actually, right, as consistent across the board. So it's not one size fits all, because especially the starting point was each country used to do their own stuff. So you got to give a balance, right? And say, okay, if you're going to measure something, the measurement has to be consistent. You cannot be like, oh, because Japan is different, so I'm going to measure this in a different way. No, measurements has to be consistent. How you execute may be different because of local nuances, right? So you may take 6 months to do certain things in certain place, versus you may do in 2 months or a month. That is given as, like, Mexico may move a bit slower. Getting funding in Mexico is very different from getting funding in Singapore. So you kind of take a calculated risk there and say, okay, but your goals and outcomes that you're driving is for a purpose for the business. You got to make sure the business understands those aspects. Ultimately, you may be a different culture, but what you want to deliver to the customer is one and the same, right? Customer wants technology to work to their best and solving the problems that they need to. And there's an expectation in terms of how you deliver services to the customer. If you are a retail customer, when you go to ATM, you expect the ATM to work. Doesn't matter which country, doesn't matter what time zone. You expect, I am going in front of ATM, I'm going to key in my PIN, I need money. It doesn't matter. Japan is going to be different. No, I'm not expecting money to come, so it's fine. In Japan, technology is very difficult. It's okay, fine. Once in a while, I get the money. I don't get the money. It's okay. Nobody going to say that, actually, right? So you expect certain things to work certain way. Technology has to work. Same thing with mobile banking, actually, right? Doesn't matter which country, which culture. You key in your ID password, you go into your mobile banking, you want to do your banking transactions. You get frustrated if you can't do that, actually. So certain things, people started expecting it, and you got to deliver that to the best, actually. The regulatory guidelines may be different in each country. Japan was very stringent. You can't have more than one outage in a year. Singapore is like, you can have an outage, but the outage time cannot exceed more than 4 years in 12 months time period. India was like, okay, fine. If you have an outage, got to come and explain to us what happened and what you're doing about it. So different country measures different way. Mexico may be a bit more relaxed, or maybe some other country a bit more relaxed. So you factor in and say, okay, your regulatory commitment is this, and you build technology, you build solutions, support model based on that, rather than saying, okay, okay, one size fits all. I'm going to burn as much money as possible. Doesn't matter whether the industry expects it or not. I'm going to build the best and the best solution. So you got to be clear, actually, what exactly. Let's say, I'll give you another example. In Mexico, this is way back, we are talking about 2010, again, 13, 14 years back, right? So you can give the customer mobile banking, they won't use it. They would prefer to see the money. So every day they'll go to ATM, they will use the ATM to check their balance, they will take cash daily. So it's a long queue in front of the ATMs always. And it is a check and cash driven economy. So I didn't believe it, actually, until I said, okay, I sat there for 3 months. I said, oh my God, okay. Literally, the branches are like, it's like literally like a supermarket, right? So branches are so big, so many people queuing up. They come with, because they have daily wages and they have monthly wages, they come with the daily check, give it to them. They'll say, okay, I want to pay these 3 bills, and then the remaining I want to take cash. So they'll have their vehicle bill, tax bill, whatever, electricity bill, utilities, whatever things that they need to pay. So they have a daily check, let's say $70 daily wage. They'll give you these 3 bill, and they'll say, okay, here's a $70, take 20, 20, 20. Sometimes they pay partial payments, right? So the counter staff has to be so good about, okay, this account you're paying 20 only, this account you're paying 20, oh, this service you're paying 20, oh, you want $10 cash back, okay, take $10, done. All this thing to be done in 7 to 8 minutes, actually, right? So because the queue is so long, there's a very different solution you give to a industry, into a country of that nature, as compared to Singapore, which is everything is automated. You can do everything from your mobile phone, right? So So those are the things you need to learn, which took me time, and thanks to Citi actually, right? So we spent time learning and driving those solutions, because I sat in Argentina for some time, Mexico a lot of time, Brazil, and almost all the Asian countries actually. So, and Poland is a good example in Europe. Russia spent some time. So pretty much literally, you name it, UK, Russia, everywhere actually, right? So you got to learn what exactly the customer base you're serving, what's the expectation of the customers, what's the expectation of the regulators, and then fine tune your support model solutions to meet that needs. Otherwise, you are so far away, you don't know the reality, and you're giving something as a direction without any context to customer.
What about the expectations you set up for your team to solve all these multi-complex issues? So you were setting the pace as a leader. What were your expectations, and how did they form throughout the years? But we can talk specifically about the situation and what you were expecting.
Yeah. No, I think it's very simple. There are things where action has to be done now, immediate, and it's probably too late. And sometimes it should have done it yesterday or day before. So I would say actually, I will get them the support they need, whether it's funding, people's, clearance from controls, whatever it is. It's always a joint effort, actually, right? So I need to do what I need to do from my side. I have the connections to the senior most people. I have the responsibility to tap and get the funding done with the business and senior people. And I have the need to go and pitch to the risk team, controls team, because bank, anything new you'd like to do, you have to pitch it and you have to validate this is the right thing to do, right? So somebody has to endorse and say, okay, this is the right thing to do. So those things I would do, but the minute I get all the support, the team also has to reciprocate that, right? Because we call it a act with sense of urgency. It's always the case, actually, right? Because some organizations are so slow. Even you got all the funding, it'll take 2 years for them to fix a thing, right? Some are not actually. I think I was lucky because Citi, IBM, HP, all these are US companies, pretty aggressive. They're very focused on customers and very focused on delivering the right solution at the right time, at the right cost to the clients, actually, right? So it was kind of a commitment there actually all the time. And US culture, actually, so you might have heard about it or you would have felt it, actually, right? So most of the banks or the organizations are pretty aggressive, actually. Once they set the I, once you get the buy-in, it's like go, 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 right? So I think that helped because that's probably my nature also. So as long as I can get the buy-in, I never had any difficulty getting something done. So my team enjoyed that because one thing they used to always tell me is absolute clarity, exactly what needs to be done and by when it needs to be done. I think if you don't know whether you ought to turn right or turn left, you're going to get frustrated. So if you know very well, you're going to turn right and you're going to march at this speed and you have to get to this destination. That's why we are doing what we are doing. It's like absolute clarity. People give 10% more, and because they are motivated to do and they have absolute clarity in life. So that really helped everybody because they know why they are doing, the customer, the commitments, and they know that they have my backing. They know that I have my senior people's backing. All the funding, support, etc., will come in play. Whenever they get into trouble or whenever they hit a dead end, they'll always know that I will find a solution for them, actually, right? So they kept going, actually, right? So that was one of the best time frame in my 31 years. The 7.5 years, we changed quite a lot, technology, operating model, workforce, culture, measurements, visibility to the senior leadership, managing upwards is very important. So we did really well, actually.
I want to add to that as well because I saw something you did in Barclays. So you said that you've written down that you wanted to basically rebuild the organization to an engineering mindset, which drew my attention as an engineer. Can you talk about the significance of a financial organization and the team within that having an engineering derived mindset? Why is that so significant?
Yeah, see, there was a context to this thing actually. So, but without going into the details, I'll see how I can share this with you. Technology teams sometimes they become reactive, right? So, how it works is, okay, fine. I come into office, I got this problem, I'll fix this problem, right? And I'm so overwhelmed with the number of problems. I don't have the time to step back and reflect and do things differently, right? So that's why it's very important to run programs like what I did as engineering mindset, because otherwise what happens is you're consumed by day to day, right? And especially in a large complex organizations where day in, day out, you're going to have challenges. Sorry, can somebody keep on trying? Just give me a second.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So that's the most important aspect. And the engineering mindset is all about, don't keep reacting to things, but apply your engineering skill set to solve the problem permanently, find the right solution. And until the problem is fixed, don't leave it for a chance. So that's one other thing. So there's a piece of paper I wrote actually so about what engineering mindset means, using the data that you already have, applying that to find solutions for real time. There are 8 or 9 points we called out, and we got senior people to talk about some of this thing. We did a video, etc. I think the key thing is, don't consume by the noise. Don't consume by the reactive substance actually, because you tend to get overwhelmed and you have to pull back the teams, and you need a frame, you need a program. So that's pretty much what engineering mindset is all about, right? So get them to say, okay, don't keep reacting to day, just step back and start doing more proactive. Take 50% of your energy, apply to more proactive and predictive and preventive stuff rather than reactive stuff, right? So do higher value add work so that the lower end work will go away over a period of time, because you're stemming the flow. Go after the areas where the real issue is coming from and prevent them using your skill set, so that down the line you don't have to keep reacting to issues. So that was the thought process.
It is fascinating in my mind, because this is exactly the way we are taught where I work in Rolls-Royce. It's a basic principle of systems engineering. So if you have an idea, it's fine. Okay, you can fill an entire room with post notes. Do that. Yeah. But then you have to start becoming very, very meticulous, very calculative in your approach. And it always fascinated me how it works in a lot of fields, like engineering derived mindset. I couldn't really understand it when I was younger. Now I just started understanding, and through discussions like this, I start to understand how it actually works and the effect it has.
I'm very pleased to hear the word system engineering. Actually, you could quickly connect to that. Actually, IBM used to do that all the time, right? So, I mean, I'm glad actually. As long as you know system engineering, what I'm talking, you will know the connection between the two.
Oh yes,
pretty much system engineering thinking actually.
Of course. Dana, these were all my questions. You gave me twice the time I asked. I am thankful, first of all. What a notion of knowledge you have over like 30 years of experience. Glad I was able to dive into that. It was invaluable to me. I assume it's going to be invaluable to the young students who will see this interview. It means a lot. I don't have a lot of words to describe it. It means a lot. Thank you.
Anytime. All the best to you.
You too. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Cheers.